Cool. Okay. Here we go. Hello, my name is RHonda LIebig, and I represent Fresh Talks Global Vision, but I am with Michelle Roberts, and she's going to be talking about I am not my diagnosis. I'm so happy to represent her here today, and she's going to share. She's had, I think we're up to 8 chronic diseases actually, and I'm smiling with this because we have some great information for you about how life can change. So I'm so happy to have this powerhouse Michelle Perry Roberts here. We'll talk about that. And she also is going to share some things that have happened for her brain. She's going to focus on brain restoration. We'll talk more about that. But remember, Michelle Perry Roberts, she's gone through the Western medicine approach because she believes that there's partnership there. But the Western medicine was not really helping everything. So I always think of everything like a workout. You're always going in at different angles. And so she said, what can I do here? But she's a very curious person and automatically was like, what else do I need to do to be able to partner with what's going on? Because this is only going so far. So you're going to learn more about her story, about asking questions, getting out there to clinics, learning about how to get her body at the next level. So welcome in, Michelle Perry Roberts. Welcome in, my friend.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Rhonda. My biggest thing that I want to talk about today, that I've always believed I'm not my diagnosis. In 2007, I got diagnosed with MS, and my life totally changed. I had to quit my corporate job. I had to, I was told I was going to be in a wheelchair within a year, and I wasn't getting better. I got on a medicine called Tysabri, which they use for MS to keep the lesions from growing. I have 19 lesions in my brain, but in 2010, I found out I had a brain-eating amoeba from the Tysabri. So I started taking a different course. The course was, let's look into alternative care. And I went to a clinic here in Reno, Nevada called Sage and Soul Wellness, and I found out I had Lyme disease. And through that whole, my treatment process, being diagnosed with 8 chronic diseases, MS, chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue, Hashimoto's, lupus, hemochromatosis, I just feel like fibromyalgia, the list just goes on and on and on. But through going to Sage and Soul in Reno here, I was able to put all my diseases in remission. But one thing that still wasn't working was my brain. I had really bad short-term memory. I was anxious all the time. I wasn't sleeping well. And I found out about this company in Reno called Brain Health Restoration. They are located here in Reno, Nevada, and they specialize in retraining your brain. I have to read what the treatment I went through is called MERT. I'm on my 4th round of treatment. And basically, my first round, I had to get an EEG to see what was firing in my brain and not. And then they adjust a machine called MERT treatment. Works by modulating the brain waves, which can help the brain be more organized, regain alpha prominence, and enable neurons to communicate more effectively. It results in higher functionality, emotional stability, and greatly improved communication and social skills. It frequently equals a quality of life because I've been able to remember things now. That was one thing I could never do, is remember numbers. Somebody go 5, 10, 30, 50. I could remember one. And then I had a hard time staying organized. And so since I've had this treatment, my brain is it's opening up. It's like, it's making changes that the doctors, are so surprised about. My neurologist was so on board with me doing this so she can send other patients who suffer from short-term memory, cog fog, because, I couldn't even tell you what I did yet. There used to be, I couldn't even tell you what I did yesterday. But since I've had this treatment, I sleep better. I have not anxiety. My memory's coming back. I have more energy. And it's interesting to see the graphs each time that you can definitely see the changes. And what the machine actually is, they put it on your head, and it's called the MERT machine. So it basically um, makes neurostimulation. It makes a sound. It kind of like shocks you. They do it in the front and the back of me, because they're trying to open communication. Because what he said before, the doctor who was in charge of this, Dr. Zavala here in Reno, Nevada, told me that I totally lost all my cognitive and my business organization skills that are in your brain. They were gone, and now I'm gaining them back. So the treatment is lasts for 2 weeks. You have to go in every day for 30 minutes. But the first thing you do is take an EEG, meet with the doctor, and he tells you exactly what the path we're going to go on. And then over time, you I'm up to my fourth round of treatments. But what a difference you can see by certain graphs that he gives you, that my brain has, the communication is opening up, and I feel it with my own body. And not too many people know. I mean, I went 15 years to cognitive therapy. It never worked for me.
Wow, Michelle, can I ask you a question? First off, I want to go back to when you were, because I want to ask a story about something, but first I wanted to ask you, when you were talking about you're going through this therapy at the clinic over at the for mindset brain restoration, you were saying that it does some type of like
It's a magnetic,
electric or
magnetic.
whatever.
It's like a pulse.
It's
If
a
you ever,
pulse.
if you ever had a TM TENS unit on your head or on your
Yeah.
body, it feels like that. It's just little prickles.
Uh-huh.
But what
Okay, I
it's
got you.
doing, it's waking up parts of the brain that have been asleep. I mean, I have 19 lesions in my brain. They haven't grown. I haven't had any new lesions for the past 5 years. So my MS is in remission. But the biggest part that was still bothering me was my brain,
Yeah.
being able
Can you,
to function.
can you share a story? And I'm just guiding you just a little bit here because you already gave great information. I know you're going to go back into that. But you said 15 years of like going through this one process. And you're like, okay, I want to get better. I want to get better. You are definitely getting better. What was the feeling for you? Because I bet you people here who are dealing with brain stuff and learning about like I'm not my diagnosis is. Can you share a journey about maybe some things that you were dealing with your brain that was just frustrating, or you just started becoming aware, like, oh my gosh, I may not get this back, like this memory that you were talking about that you used to be able to do, and now you're back into
Well, I'll tell
it.
you the biggest thing, I couldn't remember what I used to do yesterday. It was all a blank. Every day was Groundhog Day. And now I
Feeling
remember
for
what
you.
happened yesterday. I remember what happened the day before.
How
Um,
is that feeling? I'm
it
feeling like
feels,
lost, like
yeah.
give it like kind of give a story, even if it's just a conversation with somebody and or not remembering, but if you can remember that, because I bet you people here are feeling like, oh my gosh, I need to connect with Michelle. So what were some of the things that you were feeling as you were
Like,
realizing
one of
this?
the biggest things was I was lost my ability to write. I used to be very eloquent in my writing, and I
Um,
couldn't remember words. I'd have to like look them up on Google just to come up with a word. And it used to take me a ton of time to write a press release or write, anything that I used to be so good at. So since I've
oh,
been going through the treatment, it's changed. And one of the hugest things that also has changed has been my anxiety. It's lowered it tremendously. It's helped with my depression, and I'm sleeping better at night because my brain doesn't turn off. That's been the biggest problem with having MS. Is I still have the diagnosis of MS, but my brain still is, it's getting better. It's not perfect, it's getting better. But what I want to tell people, there's hope for you. There is so many things out there that can change your health. I have been diagnosed with 8 chronic diseases, and I've been able to beat them all through working with alternative and Western medicine together. But my biggest thing that I was still suffering from was short term memory. and it affected so much of my life. Just not being able to, somebody would give you a phone number. "What's that number again? What's that number again?" It's just you're embarrassing and not remembering people's names that you met the day before.
Yeah. And
So
I know that we all get scared, like, when we miss a little bit of our memory. Someone will say, "Oh, you can't remember that?" And you're like, you feel shame around it. It's like, you're right. Yeah, no, I guess I can't like, why make fun of me because I can't remember? But you're talking about like a big change. Michelle, I think I've known you for about 3 years, maybe.
yes.
I've noticed a big difference. So what you're saying is that you've been doing this stuff for your brain, and what's the location that you are? That's your contract that you're
Called
talking about.
Brain Health Restoration. It's in Reno, Nevada. You can look us up on the web, brainhealthrestoration.com. It
Yeah.
tells you everything that we do here at our clinic. We do the MERT treatment. We do TMS is another brain stimulation. We have brain IVs that I take once a week. It's called the Brainiac, which has NAD in it, and it's been changing my health and my brain. We also do a lot of stuff for depression using ketamine and Spravato. We
Mm.
work with people who have PTSD, who
Wow.
have TBIs, who have short-term memory, who have autistic children that are unable to speak. They're speaking after several sessions.
Mhm.
It's like amazing to see that child all of a sudden have words. They've just been stuck in their brains for so long. So remapping the brain has been probably one of the most up and coming things right now in the medical community.
Can I add one more thing about the change that I noticed? Because I think this is powerful. It can, when the brain stuff that you were dealing with, what you were talking about at the beginning, and going these 15 years of just like you couldn't bring it together, was it really affected your livelihood. It affected your income. Like, uh, I get to hang out with you as a business coach, but that's not the big point here. What I want to bring in is that you started at very low dollars because there was only so much that you could carry in your brain and be able to connect from here to here to here, to where you have been going through your healing through different processes, like what you said, all the list of things that you've been doing. And make sure that you rewatch this video because you're going to be able to even do research on the stuff that Michelle was saying, so you know how to connect and get to Reno, because you definitely want to
Well,
cut.
and definitely you can look us up the website. Again, it's brainhealthrestoration.com. You can call our clinic at 775-507-7024. You can reach out to me on Be Connected. I'd be happy to help you point you in the right direction.
Mhm.
There is hope, and a lot of people with chronic diseases, they lose hope.
Yeah. And I did want to say, so you start off with small dollars because you could, it was like affecting your whole life.
Yeah.
And the way you could, hold the capacity for what you're going to do from one thing to the next, to where it just opened up your livelihood. You're able to bring in more income, have contracts, and know how to manage your life day to day. And I noticed that it just gets better. Like, all of a sudden the brain really is communicating, and you're able to do the stuff that you know that you've been able to do. And I was very surprised that you had all this background of all this experience of things that you've done with working with clinics, working with the hospitals. And I was like, well, you never told me that. And it's like your brain all of a sudden came alive.
Yeah,
How
it
does it
did.
feel for you having your life back again and knowing that's going to get better?
Oh my god, it feels great because people that have short-term memory, it's not fun at all. You feel like you're going down the road of dementia, and even seeing those patients coming in and getting treated, they're getting their memories back. It's not 100%, but my brain is fixable. I was always told my brain is not fixable,
Wow.
and that was a hard one to take control. After all the years of cognitive therapy, it got to the point she said, "Michelle, I can't help you anymore." So that's why I sought out Brain Health Restoration, because I've been researching them for the last 3 years of what they've been doing for patients with short-term memory and patients with autism and PTSD and depression, not being able to sleep. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of who we help. And the biggest joy that I have is seeing these little kids that have autism that have no voice the first week. And the second week, they're starting to talk, and the parents are shocked. But it's just, MERT rewires your brain.
Anything else you want to add here? Because we want to make sure that they know because I want to ask you some questions about why you've already said, but I want to restate it again, what kind of patients you're looking for to come there. But any other stories, anything else you want to add before we get to that point?
Well, and I think one to add too is I had PTSD really bad. I've gone through years of EMDR therapy, and once I started having the MERT treatment done, my PTSD has gotten so low. I don't have the bad dreams anymore. I don't have the shakes. That's a huge one.
Wow. Wow. Oh, wow. There's just so many testimonials on how to be able to really connect with what you've done for what can happen for people. So again, what would be the people that you can think of, maybe you have on your list also, of people like this is why they want to connect? And it's not all inclusive. So if you get your ideas of like, here, I don't have that, but it's something close to that, or I have brain stuff. But Michelle, if you could just give
Well,
them a list
I'll
of people
I'll
who
give
want
you
to
a list. Vets who have PTSD, we have a wonderful program for them to help them. They're getting their lives back. We have programs for autistic children. It is phenomenal. We have programs for people who suffer from just major depression, that no matter what they do, they can't get better. And having the MERT and ketamine treatments have gotten the people healthier and out of their depression and suicide rate. Addiction, huge change in people who've been have tried rehab or still addicted to their beds. How we work with them with their addiction, it stops the cravings.
Wow. There's so much to appreciate here, Michelle. Again, what's the name of the place? And
It's Brain Health Restoration. The phone
Mhm.
number here is 775-507-7024. And we offer, let me tell you the types of therapy we offer. We offer the MERT therapy. TMS is mainly used for depression. We offer ketamine and Spravato, which are help with depression too, and help with PTSD. And, head injury people who have had terrible head injuries, we're able to guide them and get them better. So the biggest thing that I've figured out doing all the stuff I had is that your body can heal.
That's so powerful because we don't always get an opportunity to hear that. So we're talking people who have kids that
Yeah.
have been playing football that have had concussions, people that have been in car accidents, people that have been on the surgery table and their heart stopped in their brain. Like my dad, when he was alive, it was 20 years ago. 18 years ago, my dad passed away. He kept telling me he was hearing voices and he was trying to take the medicine to stop that. And he said, I felt so dumb because it was to slow it down, his body, so then he didn't hear maybe those
Yeah.
voices. But if he could have had his brain repaired, because he was under before they could really bring him back to life. So
Yeah.
I having this experience with my dad and just knowing the emotional journey that people think I need to be living with this. So I appreciate you, Michelle. And you're going to be doing your shows. Is this like a weekly thing so you get to share different
So we
stories, bring different experts?
This is going to be a weekly thing, and we're going to share stories about people that I've helped and things that have helped me along the way, because I thought outside the box. I have pretty much tried everything to get healthy, and there was only a couple things that really worked.
And this is why it's your expertise, is that working on the Western medicine side, and then these things happening to you, and your curiosity, and you've experienced. So make sure, because Michelle, you also have a calendar link, so anywhere
Correct.
we bring this up, we need to make sure we put that out there too, just in case people are looking to like directly contact you within like 15 minutes and just
Yeah.
talk to you about for 15 minutes. You can guide them and help them in the direction they need also.
Yes, and I'm really here to help people because there's so many. What is it? I think 7 out of 10 Americans are getting diagnosed with a chronic disease.
Wow.
And the gut and brain connection is huge. Inflammation brings on diseases. There's so many things that people can do so they don't get worse. And that's what I want to help in the journey that I went on. It was life-changing because I found out, I had Lyme disease, not MS. So I was always treated for MS and not Lyme. So once I got treated for the Lymes, my MS symptoms went away except for my short-term memory.
And then now things are starting to recover even more. You know what I like about the people that work with you also, they're getting to know how to get to the clinic, is that since you've gone through it, you don't treat them like their diagnosis. Because
No,
sometimes you get that stigma or people want to put you in a box. So the safety to be around you and have those conversations, because sometimes in the beginning people can deal with shame just because
they do.
that's what
Yeah,
they're feeling,
I
their
did.
brain memory.
Yeah. When you get diagnosed with MS, you think your whole life's going to change, and it did for me.
Yeah.
I lost my career, I lost everything, and now I'm building up again my
Yeah.
livelihood and my life
Yeah.
because I don't suffer from pretty much anything anymore. My pain's gone, and that's another thing we treat is chronic pain. And that's huge for some.
Maybe that's your next show though, because there's pretty much everybody
Yeah,
dealing with chronic pain.
exactly.
We talk about like all the avenues, because that just opens it up for a variety of things you can share with people about
Yeah.
what you've done with that feeling of living with it every day, and how you can actually get more productive physically. Because I know you're a very athletic person,
Yes.
riding horses. I'm like you want to be doing everything, and so I appreciate that. I appreciate this conversation.
Well, thank you for having me on the show today.
Yeah,
Super
'cause this
excited.
is your show too. We're
Yeah.
streaming on Fresh Talks Global Vision, but we're at the same time we're dueling this for your show. I'm Not My Diagnosis. This is rocking awesome.
And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some diseases that are out there and tricks and things that you can learn from me to, help you heal. And it doesn't work for everybody, but you got to be open.
That's one of that you made a big point there. A lot of people that are learning about this journey will first may have those, the block and say,
Yeah.
I don't trust this, but just keep following this podcast so then you can get more comfortable if you're feeling that way. Because it's okay if you feel that way, because there are things that happen out there in the world that you've seen bad things happen. Well, you're going to keep hearing some great
Yeah.
stories. So stay close to this podcast. And this podcast for time and day that might move until Michelle really figures out consistently, because we've done Tuesday, this is Wednesday, and all
Actually,
that kind of
Wednesdays
stuff.
are good at noon.
Oh, excellent.
We're going
Okay,
to.
my friend, I appreciate you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.
Okay. All right. From Fresh Talks Global Vision, we've been talking about that your body can repair, and I consistently talk about that. Now you got some information if you want to go to a clinic over in Reno. And then, Michelle, do you want to sign off on your podcast?
Yes. So basically, to get a hold of the clinic again, it's brainhealthrestoration.com. And I put away the phone number, but you can also call me at 775-384-4324, and I'd be happy to walk you through your journey.